am happy to present my paper, which is based on my doctoral thesis, which was the Christian impact in South Canada. Of course, because of time, there is always addition, there's also some deduction, but generally the paper style is the same, which I have used for my original PhD doctoral thesis, as well as I've launched last year the book We Indian Christians. It's not been marketed as yet, but I've launched it. Dr. David was one who launched it. We had the function here, and I decided to just give it a very brief title, We Indian Christians. I just didn't want to elaborate. There is no need to elaborate. We know what we've done. The nation knows what we have done, and everybody else the world over knows what Christians in India have done. They cannot deny that we have participated and cooperated and been very nationalistic minded. There is no doubt about it. They may question our integrity, they may question whether we are sincere, because they think all that we think of is evangelizing. Yes, that is why we are Christians. But our role is also to unite, to integrate, to weave into the Indian the network, the entire gamut of people from different communities, and how we impact them. It is left to them to decide whether they want the Lord Jesus as Savior. We do not force. This is the wrong impression the present government has been giving, that we are forcing people into embracing Christianity. So that book of mine, which I hope will be done in the next 2 3 months, and I will surely call this audience, and I hope you will come when we'll have a relaunch of the book. In the meanwhile, I get on to this topic, which is Kanarites encounter Mumbaikars. They came, they stayed, and they integrated. Unfortunately, I was so busy that I could not print out my own notes, so I'll have to keep looking at the screen. Yes, so I think it takes this one. Yeah, this is Mumbai. Mumbai welcomes you then. The next one. Who were the Kanarites? There were those who, I can't see, those who they came from North and South Canada. I don't know which wrong side somewhere. Yes. Yeah. Now this is, most of them settled in, very many of them settled in Bandra, though earlier they were all in the Baikala area, Baikala and Mazagon area, Dockyard Road. Later on, in the 1960s, they moved to Bandra. And you have Bandra, which is actually an old name for Bandora. Bandora is a name that was in Bandora, and it could be from Bandre, from monkey, but eventually they decided that it has to be Bandra, so made it Bandra. So we call it Bandra. Though the Hindi speaking people will say Bandra, because they still go by that old term. Now all about Bandra, I'm very handicapped with that. It was largely Catholic, which is evident from more than 150 crosses. I don't know how many of you are aware of that. All over Bandra, dotted you'll find crosses. That was to ward off the plague. To ward off the plague was the petition, and to thank God for saving their lives was the Thanksgiving. So the crosses, there were more than 150 crosses all over Bandra. Next time take a walk around and see how beautiful is old Bandra. Today you've got these structures which are just going up. My building also is going soon, so it's going for redevelopment. So that Bandra was largely Catholic, more than 150 crosses. That was I've already told. Okay. So the original denizens or the citizens were the East Indian communities. This side the Kolis were there in what is known as the Chimbai area, which is very close by here, Chimbai. Sholi Rajan, you had the field people, the Kulbis. And Father Correa was supposed to speak about the East Indians that side. Now they did not come to Bandra actually. They were there, so they are the Vasai Christians, East Indians. These are also called East Indians because everybody who was in the East and was worked with the East India Company. So that is why they got the name, because Mangaloreans were from Mangalore, so Kanarites, Goans came. So they didn't want to be clubbed the same name. So they called themselves East Indian because they were working for the East India Company. This has been stated by Father Larry Pereira and also endorsed by Dr. Fleur de Souza, who was a former church history member. Now the Christian institutions, the famous one is the one here. St. Stanislaus was the oldest one, run by the Jesuit priests. And one popular master was Master Joachim St. Menezes, very famous. And he was a secondary teacher. He taught the subjects, plus he wrote a lot of books. And they were the three iconic figures, the three masters. Master Willie, a centenarian, he was a prominent East Indian, Master Oliveira and Master Narcissus. These three were the three M's that they called, master, the three W-O-N, Won. They're known as Won. That's in this very premises. Okay, the girls' schools in Bandra, the first to come in here were the daughters of the Holy Cross, the ones across the road that we spoke about, the Gujarati community spoke about, the baptismal. So that's just across the road, Daughters of the Cross. Then we have the next one is the Franciscan Hospitaller Sisters, who came in from Goa originally, and then they settled on Mount Mary Hill. They were invited to help in the running of the Mount Mary Basilica. So that is Mount Mary Convent. Now they are in a boarding school also, as well as look after the Basilica, the church. Basilica is the church. Then now come the Kanarites. The Kanarites had not come into Mumbai till then. So the Kanarites, the religious among them. Before the people came, the religious come. You understand? Because they are brought because of necessity. They are needed. The nuns are needed. So the nuns came in first. The Apostolic Carmel, which is a congregation from Canada. It's an indigenous congregation from South Canada or from Bangalore, as I say. Now some more schools are, these are the schools. St. Aloysius is a diocesan school. Then you have St. Anne's School at Chewing, that is at Card, that side. You have St. Teresa, St. Elias, is attached to the St. Vincent de Paul Church. Then of course St. Andrews is a famous school, which is an old school here, run by the parish. Yeah. Now the housing for the first immigrant. The first immigrants would have been definitely a little better off. I'm not casting any aspersion, but as Teresa Albuquerque, who was a very famous, she was our member, she's a very noted and authority on Goan history. She has admitted that the class of Goans that came in were at first in the class like the domestic and the servile kind of people, working as cooks and maids and all that. More cooks rather than maids, but I don't think our women started coming into the city. It is too dangerous for them. So they had to live in a little coterie, that means a little outhouse. There was a little outhouse, and normally they would work for a European or the Parsis, who were the wealthier ones. Later, the Kanarites also thought of this idea. So you have the first immigrants coming in and settling in the Crawford Market area. There's a building, I haven't seen the building, but it was built, Augustine Salgana, they are the ones who started that, rented a room, a long big room, and made it into a cood. So a cood means in Konkani, as she was called, cood means room. That's simple. You'll wonder what this word cood is. Cood is room. In Hindi, they would say what? Koli, they say. No? Koli, sorry. It's the cood. Spelled with a C and spelled with a K too. Now, after that, St. Paul's Catholic Association started also a similar kind of a code for the people. So by then, cooks were coming and mechanics, tailors, they were coming. So women had not yet started coming because it was frightful to come into a very big city like Mumbai. So you have these three associations. In fact, P. de Mello, the noted dock trade unionist, he also sent his the ones working with him, the poorer guys, they were sent to live in these schools. Later on, even George Fernandez, our George Fernandez, he began living in a cood because he didn't have money when he came, and he lived in a cood. And he was first in the cood with the Bangalorean. Later, he went to the other cood where he could stay. That's known as Mani Bhavan. But I don't think it's the same Mani Bhavan of our Gandhian Mani Bhavan. And he would have his food, that's where I read, he would sleep there, lie down there, and then just get back to work. So this is the cood concept. After that, Kalyanpur Milagros Camp, which is very close by here, which side? Yes, down left of our hill road, you have the Milagros Society. Now that particular group of people, they came in from Milagros in Kalyanpur. Kalyanpur has got two famous churches, Milagros Church and Rosary Church. So these were the things. Milagros is the Konkani word for miracles, Our Lady of Miracles. And Rosary Church, of course, Our Lady of the Holy Rosary. So the Milagros people took an initiative to start this court, the same idea of court in Bandra. It's exactly opposite Holy Family Hospital. How many of you are familiar with this road? Many of you would know. It's just very close by. You can take a walk instead of going home. Yeah, it's a nice place because they had rented it, and then they took, they took a decision to expand their activities and have a bigger building. So this is the code which is called Milagros Society. It's also a code system. They don't have rooms and rooms. It's a code, it's the same system. In other words, it means it's a dormitory. And you have your food kitchen. Okay, the next one. Now the ones to start the cooperative movements were the Mangaloreans. I'm very proud to say that because it's something noble. You know, Cardinal Gracious had told them to start something where you have a cooperative movement. And FSC Rebello was the one who had the foresight to introduce this concept to the rest of the Mumbaikars. Let's call them Mumbaikars because I have a cooperative movement. So the housing societies were started. The Salsette Society, which is very famous. Everybody knows about Salsette Society because most of our buildings here come under the Salsette Society. Even the Bandra Gymkhana comes under the Salsette Society. So this is the cooperative movement was started by the Kanarites. With him were the others, F.L. Silva, Francis L. Silva, who was again a very leading Mangalorean, very nationalistic minded. So that is what I think it is nationalism in that sense. There was no question of freedom fight at that time. Nationalism in the sense of integration and getting into the mainstream of Indian life. So these are this is the start of the association. So then you have the beginning of a Canara Catholic Association. When they came in, there were about 400 Mangaloreans at that time. Major Tajuddin Fernandez, he was not a North South Kanarite. He was actually a North Kanarite. And by birth he was a Goan, but his father was a doctor and had his practice in North Canara. So he was there, brought up there. When he came for his education to Mumbai and he got his degrees and qualifications, he started what is known as the Canara Catholic Association. So is Sunil around here? Yeah. So we now have Sunil Lobo as the current president. Yeah, they can look at him. He's the current president of the Canara Catholic Association. I used to be a vice president many years ago, so my heart is very much there. Okay, the other clubs were of course Mangalorean Catholic Seamen's Club. Then there's a St. Anthony's League, very famous league for the poor. And there it was, Mrs. Irene Rego, who was chiefly involved. I thought somebody from our family would come. Same, Francis Silva's daughter. So she was very dynamic. She was, she had the vision to start the St. Anthony's League. But that time KCA did not have its premises. They used to operate from Canberra, what they call it, the Canberra Club in Mazagon. Because I told you the pocket of the Mangaloreans was at that time in Manganore. In Baikala and in Mazagon area. So she was catering to the poor and therefore she started the St. Anthony's. You know, St. Anthony's has got a Tuesday. I don't know if Catholics know. On a Tuesday, you go and give what is known as St. Anthony's bread. So there will be piles of bread brought and kept at St. Anthony's feet literally, and they serve that bread. They get the bread, of course depending how many people in the family, but that's a tradition in the Catholic Church. So that is the donation that they give. As Thanksgiving, mostly it is as Thanksgiving. Every church, if you see before going, you'll see one big statue here. This feast, today is what? The feast will be on the 13th of June, Feast of St. Anthony. It's a very big feast. So that is the league. And then they had a study circle and they had a Canberra Club. The Canberra Club, I remember even my father saying that he was part of the cricket club. They were fond of cricket at that time. I don't think soccer was so much with the Mangaloreans, maybe with the Goans, right? What do you say, Jane? Yeah, because I feel that because Goans were always with soccer. The Mangaloreans took to Karen, my father was good at that, and cricket. They were real good cricket fans. How well they played, I don't know, but they definitely were cricket fans. My father too. Okay, you have these, I call it mock the men, because you have Jaram Saldana, great man. He was also for a couple of terms president of the KCA. He was a judge. He was a promoter of Konkani, the first person to promote Konkani. We have a Konkani paper coming later. He was the one who promoted Konkani because he believed that the mother tongue must be spoken. Somebody told me, Jennifer Mirza, is she there? Jennifer Mirza was saying, yeah, she's there. She was saying, what is the language that a child learns first? Is the mother tongue. So she was saying, her daughter-in-law is, what is her daughter-in-law? Malaysian? Okay. So she says, the mother tongue, naturally the child will learn the mother tongue. So it's time that we teach the father tongue also. What do you say? I think we're always talking about fighting for mother's rights. So this time it will be the father's turn. So the KCA appreciated his work and they gave him a gold medal. The other person that was very prominent was Advocate Alec Pice. He was an office bearer. He never became a president. He was vice president and secretary. He held that position. Take it back. Take it back. And he was also awarded a very special award by the Bombay government, the Kaiser Hind Award, for his work for the Mahar community of Mumbai. I'm very proud to say that he is my granduncle, my mother's uncle. And, and there is a road named after him. I've been looking for it at Jacob Circle, Pace Street. Somebody was asking, what is this Portuguese name? Jennifer. So we have these names, which I'm not doing in this paper, but our surnames were given to us by the Portuguese. The Protestant Christians went with the biblical names. We had to be sponsored by one of these godfathers, because there were no godmothers at that time, no? The sailors and captains, they were godfathers. So we were given their names. So we have Albuquerque, my name is Farias or Farias, we say. But, now everyone is dwelling into past history. I don't know why, and I think I know why. I'll answer you both ways. It's because we want to see what is our origin. Yes, I know, I agree that the ones who were converted in Goa and fled Goa were the Brahmin class and not the Kshatriya class. Ask me why. You want to ask me why? I'll tell you why. Anyway, the Kshatriyas owned the lands, and as my friend, the Goan friend, she's Cardinal Ozzy Gracious' sister-in-law, incidentally. She used to say, what, you all ate out of our lands and ate out of our hands? I said, yes, that's something. Literally, because Brahmin is always, you give dakshina, no? So who gives the dakshina is the Kshatriyas. So she would say, what are you all talking so much about Brahmin class, Brahmin class? So they do not, the Goans at least, I think they think their class is the higher class, the ones who own lands. But it's so strange that the same people who fled to Mangalore, because Brahmins fled to Mangalore, they were dependent on as Dakshina, Guru Dakshina. They fled, leaving the lands and all. And then they kept to their original Indian Hindu name. But because they were baptized, they had to switch over to the Portuguese names. As I just explained that we have Portuguese surnames. Eventually now, everybody is going back to the Indian names. So you have Alex Pai and Albuquerque Pai and Shanoy and Prabhu. Because that's naughty of them, they want to claim. I'm being very frank because it's better to be honest and an honest historian rather than just putting it under the carpet. It is because it indicates what your origin is. If you say Pai means you're a Brahmin. If you say Prabhu means you're a Brahmin. So this is a very nice way. I think that's what I told Michael Prabhu, who is an author and all the genealogy. He is the authority on genealogy of Mangalorean. So we have these controversial things, messages on the WhatsApp. So I said, what are we talking about aristocracy in these days? I said, it was not meant to be, no? So that you get the point. So let's move on. So Advocate, as he was the city father, as I said, and given an award. Now in the judiciary, you have said Dr. Francis Xavier de Souza. He was the first Mangalorean Catholic to qualify for the Indian Civil Service. Now his son, rather now his daughter-in-law also was one of our members. Agnes and Joan would remember. Tessa de Souza, you remember Agnes? So she lives, now she's very aged, she's 90 plus, but she couldn't come. But she is a direct descent because she's the daughter-in-law, Francis de Souza. Then you have the next judge, Mark Norona, who worked a lot for the KCA. And he started the Mangalorean Review, the book, the paper, during his time. Now these are the honors and the people, because I can't talk about so many. We have a lot of stellar, honors to be given. You have Mark and Terry Vaz, who, because of their, their generosity themselves, and also working to build a hostel. And now again, Sunil Lobo is here, will tell how much they are doing there in the AC. Because we built, I was there at the inauguration. It is a hostel for young men, Yuvakalaya. I'm told that Yuvakalaya title, the name was given by Irene Rego's daughter. So she got a prize. They asked it, what would you like to name the hostel? Yuvakalaya. Abode for the youth. So strictly for the boys. Now we come to the different freedom fighters. Charles Mascarenhas, many of you wouldn't have known about him. But I got to know him very intimately because somehow he got interested when I was working on my PhD itself. And he used to come and visit me and tell me all the stories about his work. He worked with with the Kamdar people in the dock area, and he was staying near the YMCA as a boarder. He comes from a very top family, very affluent, but he was in Bombay. Everybody had to just come down to that level. And he worked with the docks people and did much for them. So he used to say that he would hear them shouting in the morning, taking their things, the dabbawalas. So he said you could hear the dabbawalas packing their, in those big, that stand and going. So he thought he would work for them. That was Charles Maskell. And then later he joined in the freedom struggle, and his mentor was M.N. Roy, radical M.N. Roy. So he wrote a paper for him. I've not described too much of that. Then F.L. Silva, which we spoke about, he was the one who talked about nationalism. He has, he has advised and admonished the Christians. He says, if we do not rise in time, then we will not be in the mainstream. So I've seen a lot of cuttings are there, which I have not quoted yet. Then you have Joachim Alva. I think all of us know Joachim and Violet Alva. Joachim Alva was they were the first couple to be as a couple. But then his wife was a Gujarati Protestant. But theirs was a love marriage. They got married here. They said, bless the wedding by his presence. This is what he used to write to me. Incidentally, his wife proposed a toast for my parents' wedding, and he proposed a toast for my wedding because she was no more then. So that was the closeness and the relationship. So Jacob Alva was the one who started the Nationalist Christian Party. Many of us do not know about that, but this is information for you. We did have a Nationalist Christian Party started by him and another gentleman who was Joseph Benny. He was also a Mangalorean. I tried to track him down in Bangalore. There is a dentist Benny family, but they didn't seem around at the time that I met them this many years ago. So it would be the same Benny, because Benny as a surname is not common among Mangaloreans. I just described to you. Mangaloreans, like our type of, I won't say class, our type of Mangalorean would have the typical Portuguese surname. So that Benny doesn't sound like a Portuguese conversion. So he could be a local person. Okay, so now you have that. So these are the others, Joseph Benny. Then you have John Francis Pinto. He was called Gandhi Pinto. He died early, so his family is at Botawala building in Mahi. You have Joki Barana, who also responded to the call. You have Freddie Pinto. I think he's more well known. FM Pinto, they used to call him FM Pinto. He was first in the Socialist Party, and eventually he joined the Communist Party. So I know that. When I met him, he said that. So he was many times in jail. Then you have, my parents, they've already said, they were both in jail. She asked me to say the incident. When they were running, they were running the Congress bulletin from their little school that they ran, and somebody betrayed them. Betrayal is a part of life, I suppose. So, and they denied it the first time, then they had to admit that they were involved with distributing seditious material. That was the attack. Seditious material. So they were taken to the police station at Esplanade. So my mother, in those days of course sari, not like shalwar kameez and pants like me. I also wear pants, okay? So we could have jumped from the top. She climbed down the second floor and escaped. My father was sick. He was stuck. So he was taken to Worli jail. So she fled. And she fled and went underground for a couple of months. She went to Daman, because Daman was at that time Portuguese territory. So, but she used to come into Bombay to continue her work. And during her visits to her husband, he was from jail, he was in hospital because he was sick. She used to come in a burqa, sometimes she'd shave her head fully like a Brahmin widow, so that her identity would not be known. Now I think these are the two couples that I can be sure of who are there. There was one other couple, but that they were in Ceylon. I'm sorry, I just cannot today remember them. So there are only 3 couples who were in the freedom fight as couples. It was otherwise only individual. Definitely no other ladies were in the community, in the movement. The post-independence building, I just called Charles Mascarenhas, the same freedom fighter. He was given the go ahead of building constructions for at cheap rate, moderate rate for the Catholics. That is how they move now from Baikala to Bandra. You have this famous beautiful Virendra colony, then you have Mount Carmel Society, Lourdes building, and Sarvotam, in which he stayed. So these are the buildings he built as a builder. So he took to a different occupation. And George Fernandez, who doesn't know about George Fernandez? I don't have to tell you that George Fernandez is very much Mangalorean, very much Mangalorean, and very much, what shall I say, a rebel. He was always a rebel. They called him a rebel. He stayed in that cood, if I told you, remember. Now, the medical people. First one, Dr. Saldana, assistant professor, pathology. Then you have Dr. A.C. Rebello, very famous. Here in Bandra, lived in Bandra. The Rebello house was donated, the land was donated. Robin hasn't come today, he would have been very proud to hear that. He is the son-in-law of Dr. Cajetan, who was the founder, the first one. So you see the connection because of the occupation, and also maybe Canada, not Canada, the same kind of like-minded, nationalistic mind. So you have him open the start the Rebello House concept. It is still there, a huge society of at least 70 or 80 flats. I think they are also going in for retail, but the property is definitely donated by the Rebello family. A medical, you have Dr. Sequeira. Look at the awards and the recognition to him. I'm not going to read, there's too much to read. But he's a very nice, generous gentleman. And he was the one who pursued till the end that, do you remember the nurse Shanbach story? So he was the one who actually saw that it was, that she was kept alive, and he contributed to that. And he had a scholarship in her name. So this is the nurse Shan. He recently passed away. So I'm sorry to say, a nice gentleman, very nice. Now his wife died prematurely early. I said, Dr. Lalita, who was also a doctor, she was knocked on at Haynes Road and her morning walks. That is very pathetic. But his daughter is also a doctor. So I think she comes in next. No, she'll come in later. So since I spoke about her, Dr. Priya Sequeira, who is also a gynecologist and has been given a number of awards. At the moment, she was working in Mira Road, but now she's moved to Dubai. So she's there. Now these are the other doctors. Dr. Armina is not strictly a Kanarite, but I've called my paper, Kanarites meet Mumbaikars. So she's actually gone. Wonderful lady, if anybody has met her, and she is the daughter of Professor Armand Menezes, the famous professor from St. Xavier's, who was appointed at Dharwad. And her brother is this George Menezes. Armida is a wonderful person. I can't tell you how wonderful she is. She was the dean at Sion Hospital, and even that she worked with that class of, that community of people at Dharavi. You can imagine the amount of work and awareness thing that she brought about. Now after retirement, she was not satisfied to sit at home. We like to sit at home and rest on our laurels. She had laurels but she didn't rest on them. So she opened a center called kind of an NGO. Sneha was the NGO. Tragically, her daughter, who was my daughter's classmate, died very young of a very strange kind of a cancer case, leukemia and everything, at the age of just 35. The time of, we have that Farias. I'll just finish it. Yeah. So this is that Dr. Armina. You have Dr. Astrid, who is the one with the tissue bank. She's the one who has actually started the tissue bank. I thought she might come, but she excused herself. Dr. Anil also is a doctor for the cancer. Anybody else in that? We have done already this. Yeah. Flavia Agnes, everyone knows about Flavia Agnes. She's with this association known as the Majlis. Majlis is from the Muslim word, Arabic word, which means, fight for women's policies. So this is the educationist, pro-life. Jeanette Pinto, who has been our member with the pro-life. And these are educationists, so we just go through, we've already finished that. That's it. Okay, next one. Yeah, Virginia Saldana is working with the domestics. Generally, she's there, she's been with them. Yeah. That's it. The Konkani music, we will have a paper from them. Now, we've already honored the elderly lady, Helen de Cruz. So that was what I was trying to write about her contribution and the contribution of Konkani to music. Yeah, I think the last slide.
Yeah. To summarize.
Yeah, that's it. So these are the pictures. Yeah. These are the pictures of all the stalwarts I've mentioned. Yeah. We have Viren Raskina, the young man, a hockey player. That's it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. But today, the Christian community does not have much political awareness. How do you, because the way you explained, but we are nobody here, no MLA, and how do we explain this mismatch?
The lack of interest. I think the trouble is we have become so immersed in wealth and making wealth and becoming more wealth. I was sending our children abroad. My own children have gone abroad. That's a shame. So I can't even, in fact, say that my children are nationalists anymore. They are not citizens anymore. So how can I talk about anybody else? The youth are looking for greener pastures. That's all I can say. Nationalism is close. And that is why governments like ours are taking advantage. They find that we are not nationalist minded at all. Does it answer your question, Father? What else can we say? Thank you.